Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
He's at war with woke.
Joe Concha
thinks liberals are a joke.
Joe Concha.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome, everybody, on this Tuesday evening. We have hit a low point in this country where these hearings on Capitol Hill are such a waste of time. They are all made for social media clips to go viral and for, in this case, Democrats to say profoundly insane things in order to get invites onto MSNBC, MS Now, CNN, The View, wherever. It has nothing to do with actually having anything resembling an adult conversation. It just doesn't happen. And now we have one Congresswoman who actually, I couldn't believe this when I actually saw it because it's that bad. But this woman gets up in front of Congress and actually asks the ICE director, are you going to hell for your actions as ICE director? This is Representative McCliver of, oh, great, she's from my state, New Jersey, Congresswoman. This is the one who got arrested outside of an ICE facility when she was trying to break into one. I'm demanding access without giving anybody a heads up that she was coming, brought the media with her. And when she was stopped from going in, because that's not the way it works, you can't just walk into federal facilities like this uninvited without anything resembling an appointment, a conversation. Nonetheless, she got arrested, rightly. And then, just like Don Lemon, she's the next Rosa Parks as well, I guess. Anyway, here's cut 13, and this is just childlike at this point, but I can guarantee you she will be on The View by Friday for making statements like this, or in this case, asking questions like this that she had to read from a piece of paper, by the way. So this didn't exactly come from the heart. Cut number 13, go.
Are getting shot. Alliance. I've heard my colleagues ask many questions over and over again, and you cannot answer them. So let me ask you some questions that you may be able to answer. Mr. Lyons, do you consider yourself a religious man?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, how do you think Judgment Day will work for you with so much blood on your hands?
I'm not going to entertain that question.
Oh,
ma'am.
Okay, of course not. Do you think you're going to hell, Mr. Lyons?
I'm not going to entertain.
Of course not. How many government...
The gentlelady will suspend. The
How many-
gentlelady will suspend.
Chairman?
A gentlelady will suspend. As I said, the issues we're debating here are important to ones that members feel deeply about.
Lyons?
Yeah, gentle lady, anything but. Yeah, when you're asking those questions, those are not questions. That is to get on TV tonight. I can guarantee you she'll be all over liberal media tonight doing a victory dance. Undoubtedly will be on Don Lemon's podcast. No question about it. This is what qualifies now for being a member of Congress, which I understand is as popular as shingles at this point, right? Like gonorrhea, close call as far as what's more popular. But to ask questions like that or acts in this situation, I'm sorry. Do you think you're going to hell? What's Judgment Day going to be like for you? Oh, good Lord. This is a person who never once, after any illegal in this country killed or severely hurt a legal citizen in this country ever said one thing in terms of condolences. But that's just the way Congress goes at this point. Meanwhile, here we have John Ossoff. He is a senator from Georgia. This guy is truly unbelievable because he now opposes the SAVE Act, like almost every other Democrat out there. The SAVE Act, of course, is to require voter ID. That now, Fox News poll out today, 84% of Americans support showing an ID when you vote, just like you show your ID before you get on an airplane, just like you show an ID when you have to rent a car, just like you show ID almost in every situation where there's some form of security around. I would think that, a voting location would be one of those places, but no, Democrats are taking the 16 side on an 84-16 issue. Ossoff is one of those people. This guy has said that this is something that will obviously lead to voter repression as far as people, and suppression for that matter, as far as blacks and other minorities not being able to vote. This is a guy who represents Georgia. Now, think about this for a moment. Georgia passed the Voting Integrity Act in 2021. And what that was is kind of a version of the SAVE Act, which says that, you do have to show ID when you vote. And Democrats called it Jim Crow 2.0, starting with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And Ossoff echoed their sentiments at the time. What happened since then in Georgia? We have had record turnout for every election that has happened in the Peach State ever since. Not one black voter has come forward to run to CNN or MS Now, or The View, which they would do in this situation if, for whatever reason, they felt it was difficult for them to vote under this new law. Overwhelmingly, people in Georgia like the new law. Ossoff is not one of them. Now, here's the fun part. Ossoff had a campaign rally recently because he's running for Senate. And you'll never guess what you'll need to get into John Ossoff's rallies. Starts with an I and ends with a D. This is cut number 8. Go.
And not for me, apparently for Dems. Critics are calling out Democrat Senator John Ossoff for asking campaign event goers to show government ID at the door. There are a lot of pictures of this going on. But he doesn't want to require the same thing for federal elections. And last year, when the SAVE Act passed the House, Ossoff released the statement, quote, "This is a nakedly partisan, totally unworkable, bad faith bill cynically intended to disenfranchise millions of eligible voters," end of quote.
Harris Faulkner on Fox bringing the receipts. Yeah. So, all right, Ossoff, you shouldn't ask anybody to show their ID when they go to vote. Except when you want to get into one of my rallies, then you better have it ready. No question about it. And I love Wesley Hunt. I played him on the show yesterday, congressman from Texas, who was able to show on the House floor not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, 6 forms of ID that he currently has on his person. And making the point, and Wesley is a black guy, that it's not hard for any race to get an ID in this country. Yet Democrats treating their voters as insultingly as you possibly can by saying that, it's harder for blacks to get ID than any other race. Why is that exactly? Are they not smart people? Are they not equal? Because of course they are. And of course, here's the fun part. Every poll I've seen, more than 7 in 10 blacks believe that you need voter ID in order to vote. So even the very people that Democrats say they are protecting in this situation, that is not happening here, obviously, in terms of Democratic sentiment among black voters. And this is why the Democratic Party is bleeding black voters more and more. The candidates like Donald Trump getting more of the black vote in 2024 than any Republican presidential candidate since 1972. That is 54 years ago. Nixon, who knew? Big with the black population. Well, again, that was a blowout of an election like we've never seen in 72, at least until 84. That may have been a little skewed as far as that number. But yet this is why more and more people are leaving the black party, because they are taken for granted. The Democratic Party just wants their votes every 4 years and otherwise treats them like children. who need to be taken care of in situations, even when it comes to just getting a simple thing like an ID. Meanwhile, Elizabeth Warren, oh, she's a peach, isn't she? The person who lied about her very existence, her ID. What does it say on it? Polka? Last name Hannes? No, of course not. But here she is, and this is great, because she is asked about voter ID and gives the most condescending, lecturing answer that you would actually expect from a former professor. Imagine going to that school. Elizabeth Warren on voter ID. Cut number 1, go.
The SAVE Act is expected to be brought this week to the floor for a vote. Do you support voter ID for elections?
Well, it depends on what you mean by voter ID. When you want to say that everyone has to produce a birth certificate, including women whose married names are not on their birth certificates, that creates a real problem for me.
Well, isn't that just one of the first steps in getting married is getting a new ID?
Actually, it's not getting a new birth certificate, because part of what the SAVE Act does is it says most driver's licenses around the country won't work as an ID, and that creates a terrible problem.
But you need an ID to do just about anything in America. Shouldn't you need one to
vote in elections? You don't need a birth certificate. I hope you know that.
Thank you.
I hope you know that. Oh, my goodness gracious. So you're telling me that every person that gets married in this country, right, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that get married in this country every year, if not more, therefore, they can't change their name. Let's say they take their husband's name. That's an impossible thing to do, because I haven't heard anybody complain about this ever as far as that process is concerned. So if this is the argument that Democrats are taking, again, whether it's blacks, whether it's women, I'm sure most women hear that and say, what are you talking about? It's pretty easy for me to change my name and get another ID. What are you talking about, Elizabeth Warren, who, again, lied on a law application by saying that she is an Indian American when DNA tests showed that she had 164th Indian blood in her system, and then actually went on social media to say, see, this proves that I was right. All right, maybe we should ask somebody else like Dick Durbin, who has been in the Senate since Lincoln, I believe. He represents Lincoln State, Illinois. And here he is talking about all the obstacles that Republicans are trying to create by passing the SAFE Act. This is cut number 2. Go.
The SAVE Act is expected to be brought to the floor for a vote this week. What are your thoughts on that? Are you going to support the SAVE Act?
Not at all. It's a terrible idea. This notion that we want to put more obstacles in the paths of voters is just what Donald Trump wants. Fewer people voting. I want every legal citizen in America to be able to vote without obstacles.
Oh, okay. So what is the obstacle exactly? So I can go into any voting location and just say I am who I am? Like, hi, I'm McLovin. Can I vote? Hi, I'm Don Mattingly. Can I vote? Is that what we're looking at here? Again, I cannot believe they're going to die on this hill, but apparently they're certainly going to give it their best effort, no question about it. Hey, let's have a little fun before we go to break, shall we? And this is, that was good journalism that I just heard here as far as the questioning, particularly of Elizabeth Warren, with that reporter following up, challenging her in a very professional and polite way. And instead of just absorbing what Warren was saying, just swallowing it, like when you throw up food to seagulls at the beach, just like, all right, whatever you say, I'll eat it. Whatever this is, I don't care. That's what most reporters do. But that reporter was excellent in terms of following up with Warren and asking very common sense, germane, relevant questions in a very respectful way. Now, here's Bill Maher, the voice of reason on the Democratic side of the ledger, not named John Fetterman, talking about the rules of journalism. As somebody who covers media, this is something near and dear to my heart, and it is 1,000% true. This is cut number 14. Go.
I thought as a public service, since it's so hard to find reliable news these days, tonight I would provide a few rules of thumb for trying to follow the news in our modern age. Starting with, if the headlines in your preferred news outlet routinely feature words like shreds, destroys, pummels, bashes, your outlet is a partisan piece of shit. Either that or you're reading a Batman comic.
Well,
ditto with obliterates, roasts, annihilates, and owns. You're supposed to be a source for information, not Nikki Glaser at the Tom Brady roast. 2.
It does sound like a Batman comic, doesn't it? all those words they would have in the bubbles as Batman was pummeling somebody back in the old days, well before Michael Keaton, Christian Bale. Who else played Batman? Val Kilmer did. That was the third part between Michael Keaton and, George Clooney. He had those nipples, right? The nipples on that wasn't good. And then Batman went away for a while, and then Christian Bale obviously revived it and did so in a perfect way with some great villains, by the way, in those, including the late, great Heath Ledger as the Joker. If you've not seen The Dark Knight, top 5 movie of mine all time, just saying, rent it tonight if you are not watching the Olympics, which we're going to talk about next on the Joe Concha Show. Please do stick around.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So I have a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old, and one thing I am told to avoid, like the plague itself, is being cringe in any way, shape, or form. When you're cringe, you're embarrassing, you're making, an ass of yourself. It's just not somewhere you want to go. Cringe is the worst crime within the 4th grade to 6th grade community that I do know. It also is a crime for basically everybody else, regardless of who is doing the cringing and who feels cringed. In this case, we bring you Senate Minority Leader and Senator of New York, all ours, Chuck Schumer, coming up on 77 years old. And you would think at some point, someone would pull this guy aside and say, Chuck, maybe avoid doing and saying things that may make you look not good on social media, make you look kind of out of touch, definitely seem old and contrived and have a real authenticity problem kind of thing. Schumer has not gotten that memo. I doubt he's even been handed that memo, because you can't possibly do what I'm about to play and walk away saying, I think that went pretty well. This is Chuck Schumer at a rally earlier for union workers. And he decides to, go with a chant that isn't exactly creative regarding unions. And then around funding Gateway Now, which is a project that Democrats absolutely want. I believe that is another tunnel, another mass transit system that would connect New Jersey with New York. As somebody who's commuted into New York from New Jersey for many, many years, I would welcome that if we knew how to pay for it. How's that for a compromise? All right. Anyway, here's cut 12. Get ready for the cringe. Go.
Union. Union. Union.
No.
Union.
We get it.
Now I want you to talk so loud, to holler so loud that guy in the White House is going to hear us. Fund Gateway now. Fund Gateway now. Fund Gateway now.
Oh, those poor people. All I know is that you got a rhyme here and there, Chuck. That wasn't good. Not good at all. Feeling the cringe, certainly for sure. This is Joe Concha. Back with more in a moment.
He's at war with woke.
Joe Concha
Thinks liberals are a joke.
Joe Concha.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right, I gotta say, I love the Babylon Bee. If you are on the Twitter, all right, and you're probably familiar with their story because they're a conservative outlet, a Christian outlet for that matter, but they have the best comedic writers I have seen since probably Carson. I am 1,000% serious. They write these fake stories, fake news stories, but regardless, they were banned from Twitter way back when because their jokes and their headlines were so piercing and so effective and so embraced by the right that the powers that be at Twitter pre-Elon Musk decided to ban the Babylon Bee for pushing what they called false misinformation, which is kind of an oxymoron when you think about it. But again, it's comedy, and you're going to start banning comedy? Look, I wasn't for banning Jimmy Kimmel at all. I think that the free market speaks. And when you say that, I don't know, a MAGA supporter executed Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University on September 10th, well, you're peddling misinformation. But I don't say, all right, the government should step in and start, or even, a corporation should step in and start saying, okay, we're going to ban, in this case, Kimmel's free speech. But if enough syndicates, like in this case, it was Sinclair, it was Nexstar, stepped in and said, we don't want to air this program anymore because we just feel, the ratings suck. That's obvious. We're not making any money. But also, if this person's going to peddle this sort of information he knows is wrong, then we don't have to carry it if we don't want to. Okay, great. That's free market. And that's the way it works. That's not censorship. Very, very different thing. Well, Babylon Bee, the reason why I bring them up is because they're back, and boy, are they good. I think every day on this show, I'm going to read a different headline from the Babylon Bee. Now, this one, I brought up the word cringe before in our last segment when we played a clip from Chuck Schumer, but this, it's almost cringe in the sense where some comedy, if it makes you really uncomfortable, it is effective, even if for a second you just feel guilty for laughing about it. And I'm not laughing about it per se, but it is kind of funny, I guess. All right, I've set this up enough. Babylon Bee headline, just out. Lindsey Vonn announces she has joined the U.S. Paralympics team. Oh, what's the old question? Too soon? Yeah, I look, Vonn made a valiant effort. I met Lindsey Vonn, actually. It was in 2007 in a Fox green room. And she was obviously very young at the time. We're talking almost 20 years ago. So she was probably 20, 21 years old. So when I heard that she was racing in the Olympics this time around in 2026, how old is she? Because most Olympians you see are 19, especially skiing, 19, 20, 21. It's almost like gymnastics or figure skating, where your shelf life basically ends probably in your early to mid 20s. And the fact that she was out there at age 41 on a torn ACL, which skiing, I've been doing it for a few years, not professionally, of course, but at the same time, you do know the sport at some point just by doing it over and over again. And your knees are as essential as anything you do in skiing. And the fact that she was out there, not just out for a nice little run with her kids or, with the family on a Sunday afternoon in Vail. No, I mean, she's racing in Italy on these slopes that they purposely ice down to maximize speed. And the fact that she tried to go back out there on a torn ACL is just incredible. Now, in this case, the knee perhaps had nothing to do with her latest fall, and I'm sure you've all seen it by now. That the clip has been seen tens of millions of times on social media. But as you've seen, her pole clipped what's called the gate. Those are the things you have to go around in a slalom kind of situation. So the knee may have not had anything to do with it, but maybe because there was no support on that knee, therefore went outside that gate further than she should have been. So all of that said, 41-year-old Lindsey Vonn, just a tremendous effort just to even be out there. But the Babylon Bee, again, the headline, Lindsey Vonn announces she has joined the U.S. Paralympics team. I want to laugh, and it is kind of funny, but boy, talk about pushing the envelope. We are there. Anyway, speaking of pushing the envelope is probably the best word to use here when it comes to Ayanna Pressley. She's a member of the Squad, of course, the AOC, Democratic Socialist crew. She entered Congress with negative wealth. In other words, she was in debt by tens of thousands of dollars. And now she's worth $12 million. In the span of, 6 years, she has made tons of money while in Congress. Now, how do you go from somebody who didn't have the wherewithal to manage their money, invest their money properly, or just make the kind of money where you're not in the red, right? At least you're in the black. If you're going to run for Congress, all right, well, you know how to manage your own checkbook, you know how to manage your own home budget. But she actually was in debt, and now she's suddenly worth $12 million. So people want to know, how'd you get that rich that fast? Unless maybe, throwing that out there, you had access to inside information that or contracts or some sort of something that allowed you to go from somebody who could not even be somebody who wasn't paying the minimum on your credit card in terms of your payments to somebody who now is swimming in cash. It's just really incredible. She was asked about this today by a reporter, and let's just say she got a touch defensive. This is cut number 3. Go.
Congresswoman, you're here today talking about affordability. What do you have to say to Americans who are concerned about the fact that you went into Congress with a negative net worth and now you're reportedly worth over $8 million?
Good question. A lot of pause, a lot of thinking.
I wish you people
Still
would
thinking.
stop reporting fake news. You don't know anything about me and my life. I was raised in a single-parent home. Every single thing my family and I have, we have earned. And you are reporting fake news.
Well,
and you should be asking, well, do your homework. That's how you get clarity.
What should I be asking?
You should do your homework, and that's how you get clarity, okay? That's how you get clarity. Do your homework.
You're knocking capitalism, but isn't that...
Thank you. You can take this card from me. Thank you. What was your name?
Allison, thank you so much.
Do your homework. You're lacking clarity. What's clarity? It's numbers. You didn't have money before you went to Congress, and now you are basically the Bill Gates of Congress. How did that happen? Exactly. And you say how defensive she got. At first, she did not want to answer the question. Then she got angry because ego kicked in. Then she thought she could bully that reporter. But the bottom line is that Ayanna Pressley has been screaming about affordability and Americans not being able to get by under the Trump economy, which is awesome, by the way. Again, numbers. A Dow above 50,000. Wages way up. Unemployment, less than 4% or around 4%. Core inflation, 2.5%. Gas prices in many states below $2. That's pretty damn good. And Democrats are not saying affordability or talking about it as much because they know it's a losing argument as the Trump economy gets better and better. And wait till you see your tax returns this year, because they will be numbers like you have not seen before. And Democrats, all in unison, voted to raise taxes by 30% by voting against Trump's big, beautiful bill. If that didn't pass, taxes would have gone up on the average household by 30%. Instead, you're getting a massive return. And again, Congressman Pressley, how'd you make all that money? And now the same questions are being asked of Rashida Tlaib, another member of the squad. AOC also going to galas at the Met. $40,000 a ticket in dresses that I swear it could be 2 years of rent in your average 2-bedroom on the Upper West Side to pay for these dresses that she was given. And yet these are the people that fly private, that do all these things that rich people do, while saying that the rich need to pay their so-called fair share and scream about affordability. The biggest hypocrites going, but that is DC, especially on the blue side of the aisle. Meanwhile, Jimmy Kimmel, and speaking of insufferable, talked about Bad Bunny on his very low-rated show last night. Low-rated as in like a very distant 30s, barely getting 1 million viewers, which is really hard to do on ABC considering it's in 100 million homes. And all the hype and all the sympathy this guy's got, and still has not grown his audience even a schmid. Here you have, what is it, Greg Gutfeld basically tripling his audience at this point. Jimmy Kimmel, who has 8 times the writers, 8 times the budget, and still ABC gave him a contract renewal for this year. Go figure. Colbert goes away in May. Anyway, here's Kimmel admitting that while he's really rooting for Bad Bunny and really, really loves his music, well, I guess the thing is that, like most people, no one ever A, heard of Bad Bunny, B, could even name one song that he has, and C, maybe they just watched, and I'll get around to the reason why they didn't in a moment in terms of, again, numbers, love numbers. Bad Bunny, Jimmy Kimmel, Basically says the quiet part out loud here. This is cut number 4. Go.
This week, almost every liberal I know suddenly really into Bad Bunny. I mean, people I've never heard say the words bad or bunny in their lives. Like, I can't wait for Bad Bunny. Oh, what's your...
You know what we're cheering. Yay.
What's your favorite Bad Bunny song? I don't know, but I love him. I love Bad Bunny. Here's the thing on me. Did I know any of the songs Bad Bunny was singing? Absolutely not. Never heard even 1 second of one of them. Did I understand any of what he was singing? Yes, the word nunca. That was it.
Yeah, not one word in English. Now, here's the fun part. Numbers out today show that nearly half the televisions in the United States turned off the halftime show for another channel and did not watch the halftime show. All right, it's something like 43%. When you think of that number, that is incredible. It's really hard to get to halftime of the Super Bowl and then knowingly change the channel. You're at a party, maybe you have some people over, maybe you're just watching the game alone, but you're never thinking like, okay, I got to change the channel now because somebody's coming on. But that's how polarizing this guy was. And to do that entire thing in Spanish, that was a big, big, big fumble by the National Football League. But as long as Jay-Z is running the halftime show, and apparently they have outsourced this contract in terms of who decides the halftime show to Jay-Z of all people, all right, you're going to continue to get like you did last year, which was Kendrick Lamar. And then this year, where you had Bad Bunny, 39% lower viewership than Kendrick Lamar last year. That's an incredible drop. And here's my proposal, by the way, and it's a pretty easy one. If you are another broadcast network, another cable network, a huge streaming service, just get your own halftime show. Just make it as niche as possible that you think that your audience would like best. All right. So if you're CBS airs a lot of country music awards and whatnot. All right. If you don't have the Super Bowl, then put on country music. Same goes for Fox, by the way. Maybe put on a rock band. Wow, that would be a novel concept, right? Your MTV, put on the biggest pop stars. You know people's TVs are on at that point, more than any other day of the year by secretariat proportions. So why not say, hey, we're going to have our own halftime show. When the game goes to halftime, tune to our network. I know I'm going to make a lot of people look really smart right now that run networks, but that's what you should do. And even if you get 5 million, 6 million, Turning Point got about 6 million viewers tuning in for Kid Rock. Again, that was streaming. Okay. That's pretty good. That's actually very good. Again, Kimmel gets 1 million a night. Most TV shows on ABC, CBS, NBC don't even get 3 million. You get 6 million? All right. That's pretty darn good. So if you could even get a number like that and just put on a couple of acts, okay, good enough. Like New Year's Eve. Think of it that way. New Year's Eve, all these different stations are all around the country airing different New Year's Eve shows. Pretend it's New Year's Eve, except apply that to halftime of the Super Bowl. And every executive that's out there right now is going to copy this idea, will claim it to be their own, when you should give attribution to Joseph William Concha. But of course, that will not happen. Oh, speaking of attribution, here's Jasmine Crockett, who appears on this show on a nightly basis for all the wrong reasons. Here's her talking about how smart she was at a law school that, if you look at the rankings, is ranked 175th out of 189 accredited law schools in the country. But she's talking about it as if she went to Yale or something. Anyway, we're going to have some fun with this. This is Jasmine Crockett at cut number 9. Go.
I've always been someone who has been intellectual. I was top 10% of my class at Texas Southern, my first year in law school.
Texas Southern. Is that like Stanford or Duke? Georgetown? No. Texas Southern. That's fine if you went to Texas Southern. And the fact that she got a law degree, I guess, either tells you the state of, lawyering these days, or I don't even know how to finish the sentence. The point is that was Jasmine Crockett talking like Jasmine Crockett used to speak before she decided to become this cheesy, horrible performance artist that liberals seem to like, including Charlemagne the God. We'll get to him in a moment. But here is Jasmine Crockett speaking and sounding a lot differently than she did in the previous cut I just played you. And there's a reason for it. Cut number 10, go.
That I would be running for Congress.
Maybe because these people, they are crazy. Because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the...
Yep, that is the same person. I tell you what, Kevin, play cut 9 again real quick. Cut 9, go.
I've always been someone who has been intellectual. I was top 10% of my class at Texas Southern my first year in law school.
All right, Kev, quickly, cut number 10.
That I would be running for
Contrast.
Congress.
Baby, because these people, they are crazy. Because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the...
Yep, Hillary did this, AOC, and now Jasmine Crockett. That accent that just comes out of nowhere, and people actually cheer it on the blue team. And in those rallies, that is utterly remarkable. Now, she's running for Senate in Texas. She'll lose by 15, 20 points, regardless of who her opponent is, but it doesn't matter again. It all is about vanity, celebrity, and becoming one day a co-host on The View, which she surely will be. All right, so speaking of people who think that Jasmine Crockett is so awesome, Charlemagne the God. And when we come back, Charlemagne, who is seen as like this wise man in terms of talking about politics, anything but, my friends, believe me. We'll get his thoughts on Jasmine Crockett being perhaps the greatest politician we have seen in our lifetimes when we come back. This is the Joe Concha Show. Please do stick around. You'll love it.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Okay, as promised, so Jasmine Crockett, we just compared and contrast how phony she is as far as the way she speaks, just like AOC, just like Hillary. The fake accent comes out, and, well, it's great for radio, like shows like this, that I do know. Charlemagne the God, though, thinks that, boy, this person should be the face of the Democratic Party moving forward. Beyond awesomeness, marinating in awesome. Charlemagne the God, who so many people say, you hear what Charlemagne said about this? I'm like, yeah, less and less do I have any respect for this person's opinion. And here's one good example why. This is cut number 11. Go.
Donald Trump is racist, and this administration is racist, and let me tell you why. And then you get into all of the issues. I'm like, yo, you need somebody like Jasmine Crockett. She is the most effective messenger that the Democratic Party has right now. And they need to be using her as a Trojan horse. And you know what? I hate how Democrats treat her.
Wait a minute. They need to start using her as a Trojan horse? Does Charlemagne know what Trojan horse means? Alexa, stop. Sorry about that. We could keep that, Kevin. That's fine. That's my producer, Kevin. My Alexa just went off, telling my son to go upstairs and get ready for your sweetheart dance with your mother. Okay. Anyway, back to the radio show, shall we? And this is Don Lemon. Speaking of really smart people in broadcasting, here he is comparing not Donald Trump to a Klan member or the head of a Klan, but every Trump supporter, all 77 million people out there that voted for him. Basically, if you support the president and you attend his rallies, therefore you're part of the Klan too, because this guy is the biggest clown in journalism, scare quotes. This is cut number 5. Go.
That's reminiscent of the Klan rallies, of these racist rallies, or these neo-Nazi rallies. And that audience, as Jennifer just said in the chat, loves it. And I wasn't going to say the Klan rally at first, but it looks like a Klan rally.
That's great. This is all Don Lemon has, by the way. When he's not storming churches, when he's not breaking several laws, including the FACE Act, including the Klan Act, ironically enough, comparing Trump supporters to KKK members and then literally breaking the Klan Act. That is awesome. So here's what I know, though. If Don Lemon doesn't get hired by another broadcast network, like he was with CNN forever, God knows why. But if no one else hires him, everybody says, oh, this is going to be awesome for Don Lemon's career. Yeah, well, I don't see the return on investment yet because he's still doing these stupid podcasts from his kitchen, saying stupid things. And I don't think even MS Now would go near him with a 50-foot cattle prod at this point. I'm serious. Why would you hire somebody like this who is an utter pain to work with? Every coworker will tell you that. And then just says a lot of stupid things. Anyway, ever you listen to this fine show. Until then, I'm Joe Concha. I got 2 words for you. Bye-bye.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return, but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do? My refund, though. I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.